This is going to be a slightly different video. The reason why I'm making this video is because someone suggested ages ago that they prefer more specific guides, so that I bring. So recently I've been grinding out the IMSA eSports qualification, and I am very happy to say that I qualified along with my teammates. So we got 2 cars in for Manatee Racing, which is amazing to see. But when I did these hot laps, there was so much that I learned just over the amount of laps that I did. I mean, I did 609 laps, but I learned so much because to get these sort of lap times, you have to push to the absolute limit. Like, you can leave barely anything on the table. I feel like I still could have improved to maybe a 0.3. But honestly, as when we did this 0.4, Philip was my teammate, so it was the average. It was the total of our 2 laps added together. We knew that we were pretty safe. So yeah, my mental sort of capacity was already gone at that point. I didn't think I would improve on that day. This was literally set yesterday, just a few hours before it closed, the deadline was. But yeah, I learned so much about the tyres, and I didn't really realise how important this one little thing is, and it's called tyre temperature management. So during a lap, you might think that the tyre temps, are not that relevant during a lap, and you might think they just build up over a few laps, and that is true. But it is also very true that any little micro slide that you have on the rears or the fronts entering a corner, even the tiniest micro slide, will impact the next corner, and you will lose a few hundredths every single corner if you do not think about your tyre temps. I unfortunately can't show the Sebring replay of the lap. The fastest lap I did not save, and then my previous laps, which I did save, just don't load for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because it's closed now. I don't understand. But anyway, so any little micro slide that you have, so that includes on the brakes, throttle input, anything that can make the tyre just slip the tiniest amount to the point where you can't even feel it in the front force feedback, really. It will impact your next corner or the corner that you're in. So looking back on this replay, this little micro lock will cause an impact into this next corner. And you can see there, boom, exactly what I'm talking about. It caused the tyre temperatures to overheat, which mean the rear tyres to overheat, which means that in this corner I got a little snap of oversteer. And let's say we were doing like one of these time attacks again. Let's say the IMSA eSports was at Imola. This would have cost me like a good lap. Like it literally comes down to that. Just this tiny mistake here will cause me to lose out on IMSA qualifying. Like, it is crazy the level that IMSA eSports is at. So if you feel like you're slow, or let's say you are fast, right, but you can't push to that pace where it seems like only a few people can get to, this honestly might be a problem, because it did not even occur to me of how sensitive these tyres are to just the tiniest increases of temperature, which I feel like a lot of people overlook. I mean, in GT3, I feel like GT3 drivers have a bit more awareness to it, because they cannot break into ABS too much, from my understanding, because it causes too much heating in the tyre, right? But in GTP, we never really think about it. We just think, don't lock. But that's like, okay, but then surely there's a step above that, and this is the step above that. You do not want any sort of micro slides, especially on an aggressive setup. We had a very aggressive setup. I'm not going to go through what we did with it, but it was a very aggressive setup, which means the tyre cooling was very little. But it meant that you could get extreme pace, but it was a very small window, which meant that any sort of micro slide during the lap would literally screw up the entire lap afterwards. So to drive a good lap on that set, you had to drive the perfect lap. But boy, did that set of pace. And I thank my teammate David Adam for helping build that setup. That was an amazing setup. But yeah, literally, I'm talking, it is sliverines of just, like, if we look at telemetry of the 442, like, it was just incredible how sensitive the tires were. Like, my main mistake here was to go to 100% throttle, right, on this, on turn 3 or whatever you want to call it. So this tiny, just, I would go to full throttle here instead of like this 90%, right? This is even a bit too much on this lap, but who cares? It's done. What's done is done. Let's say, so I went to 100% here, but instead of going to 100%, 96, let's just say 96% was faster. I know that 80% was much faster than this, but my point still stands. Because I accelerated too much here on this straight part here where you can get back on throttle momentarily, it meant that the rear tyres got a slight bit too hot, which meant on exit I was compromised every single time. So when I compared my telemetry to David Adam, I'd always lose time on this straight here because my exit here was just poor from how hot my tyre temps were going. And I didn't really understand how crucial this was until I broke through the 0.6 range and I got into the 0.5. It was like a luck of a draw. Like, I felt like a gambler every lap when I was in the 0.6 range. Will the tyres work or will they not? But as soon as I figured out this tyre temperature management trick, it was like the groundbreaker. Like, it felt so much easier to get down to the 0.5 and then the 0.4. Like, I didn't stay stuck because I was stuck on a 0.6 for a few days, I believe, and I just could not break past it. But this trick genuinely allowed me to get the 0.4, which is crazy. I mean, that's 2 temps, right? Which might not sound like a lot, but in these sort of esport events, it's a world of a difference, 2 temps. So the trick is always think about the rear tyres. It's in the GTPs. The rear tyres are your main limiting factor. The front grip's fine, but the rear tyre temps are just like crucial because you have so little grip on the rears. So if we go to this hairpin here, sector 3, I'm assuming, yep. So we could brake to 100%, but the problem was, if you broke to 100%, even a little bit too much for a little bit too long, what happened was you'd get some rear locking, and on an exit you'd be compromised the entire straight afterwards, and you'd lose like 400ths of a second. But it felt like it was just a set, right? Like, I was blaming the set first. I was like, surely not. This has to be the set. But as soon as I learned this tyre temperature management trick, it was like, damn, like, I'm gaining so much time on the straight just by, I could either dial the brake bias forward a tiny bit, but then you'd lose rotation on the fronts, and then that would lose you time mid corner. So the trick was to hold 100% for a little bit less time, just a little bit. And that caused the rear tyres to not overheat as much, and I could get a better exit. But yeah, that was like the game changer for me, and I feel like everyone should take this away with them, to think about the rear tyre temperatures during a hot lap or a qualifying session, because it is such a game changer. Even in a race, like, this is crazy stuff. Like, I feel like no one has talked about this, how crucial the rear tyre temps are, especially in a GTP. Like, it will gain you like a tenth, maybe a few temps every lap. Like, it's nuts. But to hit this precisely is the real skill, because you can know this, but then how do I actually put it into practice? Well, I just want you to maybe try Sebring or just any track that you're comfortable with, and just try to think about the rear tyre temps and just how your inputs affect them, and then try and scale it back. Like, if you feel like your rear grip limited, then try and scale back how you overheat the rear tyres. So let's say, I don't know, in this mid section I went to 100%, now let's try 90% and carry a bit more speed. So we'll sacrifice exit, and then we'll bump up the entry a little bit in terms of speed, so we can lift a bit less and we won't lose as much time, let's say. And then try just cooling down the tyres a bit more, and you will notice the difference 1,000,000%. I can guarantee it. Like, it's crazy. But there's another thing that I wanted to talk about as well, which is mindset. I should know this out of everyone because I'm a trader, which means that psychology is like the most important thing when it comes to trading, right? Like, you need to be in the right mindset to trade. Like, if you come in at the wrong mindset, you may as well just throw your money in a trash can or flush it down the toilet, because it's so important to just be in the right mindset for trading, to make the right decision, to make sure that you aren't acting on impulse, but rather logic and logical thinking. And the same really comes to sim racing as well, to be in the right mindset. Like, I was getting so frustrated with myself when I was doing the 0.6s. Like, felt so slow, because at this point David Adam was on a 0.3 something, and I was like, damn, like, this guy is mentally fast, but I feel like maybe I should be a bit closer. And yeah, I just got really frustrated with myself, and David said something very smart. The mindset will separate the good from the best. Like, the best will have always a consistent mindset when it comes to racing, as in, they will always think calm and logically, even if they are frustrated with how they're driving. They limit the amount of frustration that they have, because it literally creeps into your inputs. So yeah, it's very important not to get frustrated when it comes to doing these hot laps. Like, if you off track, or I don't know, you mess up your lap, it might have been a very good lap and you might have messed up in the last turn. It's very important just to like take a step back and just not get frustrated. As soon as you get frustrated, that's when the mistakes start to creep in, and it's just like a spiral of death where your performance just drops off, because it will also make you mentally exhausted, which I feel like is one of the most important things when it comes to hot lapping. You need to be mentally sharp and on it, because it requires so much focus. But yeah, another trick that I did as well was definitely just driving as if I was going to the shops. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I wasn't driving slow as in lifting and coasting and I don't know, like going in first gear through turn 1. But what I was doing is that I just pretended like I was driving to the shops and just being really relaxed whilst I was driving, like shoulders, legs, arms, hands, like everything was like relaxed. Like, you could hit my hand off the steering wheel easily, that you could just push it off. And for some reason, that's how I set the 0.5. Like, I don't know why it works, but it just works. Like, I feel maybe because you're less tense, so you can feel more of the car. I don't know, or it could even be related to mindset again. But it just works so well. Like, if you pretend like you're going to the shops, have light hands, light feet, everything, you will genuinely break through a plateau, which is what I had badly during these hot laps. And it all came down on the final day. My teammate set a 0.4 and I need to set a 0.4 to make sure that we were, I wouldn't say safe, but closer to being safe, because we were literally borderline P15 and 15 pairs of 2 qualified. So it all came down to it. So obviously it's a lot of pressure. It was a few hours before the deadline. I knew I didn't have long, because I don't live alone. The sim is very noisy, someone lives below me. So I knew I didn't have long, so it induced stress, right? But like, just having that right mindset on the day when it came down to it, just being like, look, I don't have that much time here, but I can feel the pace. Something's working. I just need to get this lap and then call it a day and jump off and just be happy with myself, right? And for some reason that just worked. Like, I set a good lap. I set a 4.6 something originally, and I was over the moon. Like, I was screaming. It was quite funny. And then literally a few laps later, I was like, I've got nothing to lose here at this point. Like, let's just try and improve even more. And I went 200s faster, which might not sound like a lot, but at this time which I set, it's quite a decent amount. Like, it literally bumped me up about 6 places. So yeah, it was a crazy event, but something that I learned a lot from. I feel like since these new tyres came out, I'm not as good, but this time attack, I feel like I'm back there again to the level that I was before I started to have other commitments and dropped off. Like, yeah, I mean, we're regrinding the iRating back. That's just why we did the prototype fixed the entire week. We grinded like 285 iRating, but yeah, we were P20 at the end of it, so we were classed as world champ, which is very nice to see. 21 people got classed as world champ, so very nice. But yeah, David is just insane, different league. But hopefully we'll get there. Yeah, so we grinded 286 iRating in the past week, so yeah, we'll be doing Algarve, but from what it looks like, the softs are just ridiculously bad. I mean, if we look here, I think there was about 3 people on what should be the busiest time slot of the day. So I don't know what's gone on, man. Like, either people hate this track, I don't know if people, it seems like the new tyres as well, people just don't like it as much. Like the 7 p.m. split Europe time, British time, only had 3 people in it, so yeah, not great. But yeah, after doing those laps in the time attack, like watching these laps back, I can just see how much I didn't care about rear grip. Like, I was just pushing as much as I can, but sometimes it's actually good to take a step back and just let the rear tires breathe a little bit more. Like, you can try so many things to reduce the rear tire temperature. You just have to think in terms of physics. Like, the more energy you put through the rear tires, of course they're going to heat up more. So how do you reduce the energy put through them? And then that is literally your answer. So I'll give you a few clues: throttle, brake, etc. The amount of, like, another thing was the, let me just check an example. So like the initial input is always going to be slightly less than 100. Like, you never go to 100% straight away most of the time. And what I noticed is, I feel like this is because of the crappy throttle as well on these Thrustmaster TLCM pedals. Every time I'd apply the throttles, it was like 45%. And in Sunset Bend, it's very crucial to get a good exit there, right? So what happened when I went to 45%, rear tyres got too hot, so on exit I couldn't ramp up the pressure, so I'd literally be stuck at 80% throttle for like a second or two, and I couldn't ramp up the pressure linearly. And that cost me so much time. Like, I was dropping 600s. When I fixed that, we literally gained 600ths of a second, and when it all came down to it on the last lap, we did a very good time using the techniques that I learned over the past few days. But yeah, I mean, it's no understatement with how hard the IMSA esports is. Like, I don't want anyone to get discouraged, because like the amount of laps that I did was outrageous. Like, it was, I mean, we saw it before, but I think it's like 600, maybe 700 laps, which is crazy. Yeah, 609 laps. I mean, someone did 1,000 laps, which is nuts. But yeah, the amount of time I spent on Sebring, like, I think I'm sick of it for life. Even though I love that track, it was, yeah, quite something. Like, I'm still tired today, just even thinking about doing Sebring, which I'm not going to do for a little bit until prep starts for the IMSA esports round. But yeah, that's enough waffle, I think. But yeah, I'm very happy to be qualified for IMSA esports. It's definitely insane. Probably my biggest achievement on this sim so far. And I think, you know, my I rating is not that high, right? It's 5.286, which is not that much in the scheme of things compared to some of these other drivers. So I think I'll be the lowest I rating driver in IMSA esports, which is yeah, it's a crazy feeling, to be honest, to know that I'll be racing against the best of the best, like Verstappen, Max's team, Team Redline, Apex, etc. Like, it's a crazy feeling. I didn't think I'd be fast enough to even have a hope of it, but yeah, when it all mattered, we performed somehow. But yeah, hopefully you learned something from this video.